Can't believe I'm sitting here making this video. I want to talk about something today that I haven't really seen anyone talk about when it comes to business, but your business success will not fix your self-worth issues. It'll actually make them worse, and I want to talk a little bit about that and my personal story behind this. It's funny because it's when you get into business and you're trying to build a successful company, a lot of the times you will think of the future version of what your life will look like. And you go through this in different stages throughout your career, but it's kind of interesting because sometimes what happens is that a lot of people will think, well, maybe that future version of my life will actually be the thing that I actually want, that will give me the validation of me personally in my life to make me feel better about myself. And a lot of times as entrepreneurs, we kind of use entrepreneurship as a mask to overcome some of the difficult struggles that we've gone through in the past, whether it's our past self when we were growing up with our parents, living in the house, or just dealing with certain emotional issues and difficult situations and challenges throughout our life, and use that external success as a way to hopefully mask and cope with the reality of, or rather to cope with the difficulties that we've been through, in hopes that we don't have to deal with them, we don't have to uncover them, right? And I sit here at the age of 31, having been doing this for nearly 10 years now, and to be at the most successful point in my career so far, and think to myself, what were some of the issues that I faced when I was younger that I'm still dealing with today, and what issues have I overcome since that point? And I find some very common denominators throughout my experience where it still affects me to this day and still creates a struggle to get to the next level in my career. And I'm getting to a point now where a lot of those things are starting to come more to light because they're actually things that are specifically holding me back. And what I mean by this is, in business, when we start out and we're just getting into it, making our first $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 a month, $25,000 a month, $50,000 a month, those things can kind of be brute force through. But as you start to get to new levels, whether it's 100K a month, 200K a month, 300K a month, things like that, a lot of the things that you've been hiding start to come to light because they're actually the things holding you back. And you can brute force those things away and supplement that with either like hard work or higher leverage, finding or building skill sets, right? Having the right opportunity come your way. And I'm not saying that you necessarily absolutely 100% have to deal with these things, but they come more to light. And what I realize more and more is that the more money I make, the more that I realize I've tied a lot of my self-worth to the money that I make. And I know it's a problem because I am not my money. My money is just a tool to help me get to the next level, to help me provide the life that I want for my family, my friends, people close to me, to be able to give back and to hopefully find fulfillment. You really have to find a way to remove your self-worth from your net worth. And we're going to dive deeper on it a little bit, but I think that the hidden cost of building your identity on your business is that if your business goes up or goes down, the way you view yourself, your self-talk, and the way you view success and feel month to month will all depend on the trajectory of the business. And it's so messed up because it's such a finite, it shouldn't even be an aspect, right? But with the world of social media and the flashy cars, right? I mean, I've got my car here behind me. You've got the lifestyle, right? The opportunities, the wealth, the fame, all of those aspects, they kind of play into that desire that you have to achieve those things that a lot of people online portray. And they're the 0.001% of people in the entire world. And I think that social media makes it seem like everyone's successful, right? We're all behind. We're all not good enough. We all have so much further to go. When we tie our self-worth to the trajectory of our business, we decide to feel a certain way about ourselves. And the reason why that's detrimental is if good things happen, we feel good. If bad things happen, we don't feel good. And life should not be played that way. I've found in my career that I have I'm much more of an emotional person naturally, that I've had to really fight that because of some of my past experiences in my life growing up as a kid. But the more that I can separate my own emotions from my business, really important lesson that you'll have to learn in business if you haven't already learned it. But it's a constant battle, right? You have to battle those emotions to feel a certain way about the good and the bad so that you can kind of be a bit more stoic towards the events and things that happen on a day-to-day basis, on a week-to-week basis, a month-to-month basis. And so you can still feel good about yourself and about the trajectory of your personal growth that's separate from business growth, but I've had a hard time pulling those things apart. And that's something that I've been really working on because I know it's such an important aspect of building a business that I think will change the trajectory of my success. In order to get to that next level, I think that you need to be able to do that. And when I hit my biggest months ever, I kind of feel like, oh, well, I did this, like now I'm this person, right? I changed my identity based around the business goal or metric that I set. But then if I don't hit that goal or maintain that metric the next month or 6 months later, then guess what? I'm a failure. Everything's a mistake. I don't know what I'm doing, right? That self-talk that is tied to how much my business is making per month. And so that's been a challenge, a big thing that I've been working on, is to separate those two things and understand that I can have personal growth and be growing as a person, even if my business is going through a phase where we're not generating the most revenue we ever have. Because every business goes through that. People just never talk about it online. Everyone's always highlighting like their best month ever. And so I think that is, in concept, important for you to understand, because your self-worth is not your net worth, and your net worth is not your self-worth. And I think your net worth increases and you make more money when you can separate those two things. And that's kind of part of the self-discovery that I'm going through as someone who I've done a $350,000 a month in my e-commerce company that I started and co-founded with my brother. And in my own marketing consulting agency that I have for TikTok Shop, we've done $100K a month. And so now it's like, those are my metrics. And if I'm not hitting those metrics, then I'm a failure. I've fallen off. I've gotten off my game. That doesn't mean that. It just means there were certain things that happened during those months that made it really successful. And the goal is to reverse engineer them and maintain and grow beyond that. But just because the business right now we're in a little bit of a build phase, we're not really in a scale phase. We're building a lot of systems and a lot of new processes in place in order to help kind of scale the brands we work with. So it's like, obviously we're not trying to grow. We're not trying to get bigger right now. But in my mind, I feel like because I'm not at that threshold, that it means that there's something wrong, but there's nothing wrong. So I hope I don't sound too crazy. I hope that some of you can relate to this and the feelings and emotions that you have and the daily kind of self-talk. But I've identified this because I'm at this point in my life. And I understand that the next level for me is, for at least what I'm working on right now is, the $250,000 a month, the $500,000 a month, the $1 million a month. Those are my next milestones that I would like to be able to hit for both businesses. So I think the thing to be aware of is the brutal reality of making sure that your external does not become your internal value, and that if your business grows, your self-worth then follows that business growth, so that your self-worth becomes less when less money is made. And really learning how to separate those two things. And I think it's a really important mental exercise and awareness aspect to realizing that you just have to mentally separate them and go through in your head, okay, am I saying this to myself because my business is making 20% less revenue this month or 30% less revenue this month? Or is this actual thing that I'm thinking about tied to the reason my business is not doing well? And can I work on this independently of my business to hopefully increase revenue, but then not give validation to business growth being down or the business being down, but then rather focusing on more of your daily progress towards improving that thing that you're actually working on? Because it's when you get to a point where you're at a low or you're like a little bit of a rut as an entrepreneur, the best thing to do as a solution is to stack small wins. And so what I've done recently is actually not only evaluated my entire vision and gone through some affirmations on the person that I want to become to get to the next level, but also identifying what are the paradigm shifts that I need to have and what are the actions I need to take daily in order to become that new version of myself that ends up making that money. But my focus on winning every day isn't on the revenue that I do every week or every day. It's on making sure that I checkbox those items that I'm working on as a daily habit, because those daily habits are going to get me to my end result. And I don't know when, I don't know exactly how, but I trust and have faith that by putting those things into action, they're aligned with the person that I know I need to be in order to get to that level. So something to think about. So if you're kind of wondering where I'm at right now, where you're at, and you're trying to figure out, well, how do I tie my self-worth? The best indicator of understanding how you tie your success in business to your success in life is, how do you feel on a month-to-month basis in comparison to your best and worst month in business, in revenue? And do you feel a certain way about a good month and a bad month personally, and your confidence level and your self-worth and your positive or negative thinking depending on the month? How heavily influenced are you by that? Because if you're heavily influenced by it, you're more than likely going through something that I've been going through recently, that I'm continuing to work on and develop. And I know it will be a constant thing that I have to work on throughout all different stages of my career. Because my goal ultimately is I want to build at least a $10 million investment portfolio, to have just cash aside, an investment portfolio, can take out 4% and live off that. I'd like to get to 25 million, have some kind of bigger aspirations. I'd like to have a in-person, or like a, kind of like my childhood dream was to have a big Hot Wheels collection of cars, right? But in real life. So I think that it's important to identify that, and it's an important building block of building you into the entrepreneur and the person that you need to be. So hopefully this has been helpful. Kind of a weird topic, honestly. I just thought I'd shoot it and see what the response was, see what other people felt and thought about this, whether this is something that they've thought about or gone through. And if you have, or you have any thoughts, like, please leave them down below. But I guess, appreciate you watching. I'll see you in the next video.